All right, so we're diving deep today into public speaking,
Um,
and we're going to be looking at Alex Carter's The Art of Influence, Mastering Public Speaking to Captivate Any Audience.
yeah,
It's a YouTube podcast,
right.
and, we want to help you guys just really take your public speaking skills to the next level.
Absolutely.
And I think we could all agree that public speaking is kind of a
Oh, yeah.
daunting thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, 75% of people are afraid of it.
Oh, wow.
Like,
So it's a big,
that's a lot of people, right?
yeah, you're not alone if you are
Yeah.
feeling that anxiety.
So what's interesting here, though, is how Alex Carter frames public speaking.
Yeah.
He says that it's not just about, getting up on stage.
Right.
It's about influence. And it's about influence in every interaction.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things he says in that whole podcast.
Yeah.
It's like almost every conversation is an opportunity to
Yeah.
influence and inspire people.
It changes our perspective on it, right?
Yeah. Like it's not just,
Yeah.
you're giving a presentation to a board.
Mm.
It's every single interaction
Yeah.
you have with anybody. So
Especially if you think about,
how can we kind of get over those nerves
yeah.
and unlock that potential?
Well, I think one of the things that we have to do is
Yeah.
reframe that anxiety
Okay.
and realize that it is a natural
Yeah.
physiological response that happens in our body.
Right.
And we can use that to our advantage.
So it's like that nervous energy.
Exactly.
You can actually use it to fuel.
Yeah, it's just energy, right?
Yeah.
It's just energy.
Okay.
And it's like, when an athlete is built to perform,
Yeah.
they're feeling all this adrenaline.
Right.
They're feeling all this energy and heightened senses and things like that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with public speaking.
Right.
Like that nervous energy is your body telling you
Okay.
that you're ready to go.
Okay.
And it's a good thing.
Okay. I like that. I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So what are some other practical tips then to get over,
One of the biggest things is preparation.
Okay.
The more you prepare,
Yeah.
the more familiar you are with your material,
Right.
the more confident you're going to feel when you're actually delivering it.
Right. So it's not necessarily about memorizing every single word.
Right. You don't want to sound like a robot.
Right.
You want to be able to connect with your audience authentically.
Yeah.
And part of that is just knowing your stuff
Okay.
so you can relax and be yourself.
Be yourself. So authenticity
Yeah.
is a big thing here. And, you were saying just a minute ago,
Yeah.
you don't want to be a robot. And I think that plays into this as well.
It definitely does.
You want to let your personality shine through.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are drawn to people
Right.
who are authentic and genuine.
Real.
Yeah.
And, sometimes like a well-placed anecdote or even like a little bit of humor
Oh, yeah.
can go such a long way
Oh.
to make you relatable and memorable.
And it makes it more enjoyable for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
if you're up there just being super serious,
Right.
And
Or robot.
robotic, then, people are going to tune out.
Yeah. They're going to check out.
Yeah.
So Alex Carter talks about this 3-act structure.
Yeah, the hook, the body, and the closer.
Okay. So can you break that down for us?
Sure. So think of it like building a house.
Okay.
You start with a really strong foundation,
Okay.
and that's your hook.
Okay.
That's what gets people interested.
Okay.
Then you build the walls and the roof, and that's the body of your presentation where you're delivering your key points and information.
Yeah. Okay.
And then finally you add all the finishing touches.
Right.
The paint, the landscaping. And that's your closer.
Okay.
That's where you leave your audience with a clear takeaway.
So a call to action.
Exactly.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
So what are some,
So like a really good example of a hook
what makes a good hook?
that Alex uses
Yeah.
is, imagine starting your presentation with the question, what if I told you 60% of decisions are made emotionally? Like that immediately gets people thinking.
Right.
That immediately piques their interest.
It makes you want to know more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a great hook.
Okay. So we've hooked them.
Yeah.
Now we need to transition into the body.
Right. So you don't just want to jump right into your main points.
Okay.
You want to create a smooth transition from that hook
Yeah.
into the body of your message.
Okay.
So you might say something like, now that we understand the significance of emotions in decision making, let's explore 3 key strategies for harnessing this power.
Okay.
So you're kind of bridging the gap.
Right. You're easing them in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Alex suggests keeping it concise, no more than 3 key points.
Okay.
Because you don't want to overwhelm people.
Right.
And you want them to remember.
It's like a 3-course meal.
Exactly.
You don't want to stuff them.
Yeah, you want to leave them satisfied, but not overstuffed.
Okay. So 3 key points. No more than that.
Right.
And so how do we make those points more impactful and engaging?
Well, using things like metaphors and vivid imagery
Okay.
can really make those points come alive.
Okay.
So, for example, you could compare your idea to a seed that needs nurturing to grow,
Yeah.
or you could paint a picture of the positive impact your solution will have on people's lives.
So we're appealing to emotions
Yes.
as well as logic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Because logic will inform people,
Right.
but emotion is what persuades people.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So then how do we bring it all together in the closer?
Yeah. So the closer is your opportunity to leave a lasting impression
Yep.
to really drive your message home.
Okay.
So you want to summarize your key points,
Right.
reiterate your main message,
Yeah.
and you can even end with a powerful call to action,
Okay.
inspiring your audience to do something.
So it's almost like the grand finale.
Exactly,
Okay.
like a fireworks show.
Yeah, you want to leave them with like a sense of awe.
Yes.
Okay.
Give them something to remember.
All right, so
Yeah.
this 3-act structure sounds really good.
Yeah.
And how does storytelling kind of...
Well, storytelling is incredibly powerful.
Okay.
Because it allows us to connect with people on an emotional level.
Okay.
Think about how Airbnb pitched to investors.
Okay.
They shared stories of hosts saving lives,
Wow.
which created a much stronger connection
Right.
than just talking about rental properties.
Well, okay.
That's
powerful.
yeah.
Yeah.
So storytelling can really,
Take it to the next level.
yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Okay, so that kind of brings us to delivery.
Yeah.
It's not just what you say,
Right.
it's how you say it.
Exactly. Delivery is where the magic happens.
Okay, so let's break down those elements of delivery then.
Okay.
So first up, body language.
Okay, so Alex talks about the power of power poses.
Power poses.
Yeah, so standing tall, shoulders back, open palms. These postures not only project confidence,
Mm-hmm.
but they can actually boost your own confidence as well.
Wow, it's like a mind-body connection.
Exactly. It's like a feedback loop.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what are some other things that we need to be mindful of?
Well, eye contact is super important.
Okay.
You want to make eye contact with people,
Yeah.
but you don't want to dart your eyes around the room.
Oh,
Try to connect with individuals.
Right.
Make eye contact with them for a few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Let them know that you see them,
Right.
that you're speaking to them.
And what about like hand gestures?
Yes, hand gestures can be great.
Okay.
They can add emphasis and energy,
Right.
but you want to make sure that they're natural.
Okay. Not distracting.
You don't want to be up there
Right.
fidgeting or playing with your hair or anything like that.
Okay, so purposeful movement.
Exactly.
Okay.
Purposeful movement.
All right. And then there's voice control.
Yes, voice control is all about creating dynamics, and keeping the audience engaged.
Right.
Alex suggests, using pauses for dramatic effect.
Oh, yeah.
Speeding up when you want to create a sense of excitement.
Yeah.
Or even whispering when you want to create a sense of intimacy.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's like having a whole orchestra
Exactly.
at your disposal.
Yeah, your voice is a powerful instrument.
Okay,
Yeah.
now are there any examples of like famous speakers
Oh, yeah.
who've used their voice really well?
Think about Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech.
Oh, yeah.
The way he uses his voice, the pauses, the crescendos.
Right.
It's incredibly powerful.
It gives me chills just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or consider Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
He was a master at using his voice to create anticipation
Okay, yeah.
and excitement for his products.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what about engagement?
So engagement is all about making sure your audience is with you
Okay.
every step of the way. You want them to be actively listening and participating.
So how do we do that?
So Alice gives some great tips for this.
Okay.
Things like asking questions,
Okay.
like raise your hand if,
Right.
or using imagery, like picture this.
Okay.
These techniques really pull people in
Right.
and make them active participants,
Okay.
rather than just passive listeners.
So it's like a dialogue.
Exactly.
That's a conversation.
Now he has this pro tip
Yeah.
about mirroring your audience's energy.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So mirroring your audience's energy is basically being attuned to their emotional state
Okay.
and adjusting your delivery accordingly.
Okay.
So if you're speaking to a group of, enthusiastic entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
your energy should match theirs.
Okay.
But if you're presenting to a more reserved boardroom,
Right.
you'll want to adjust your energy to create a more
Okay.
calm and focused atmosphere.
Okay.
Yeah.
So reading the room.
Exactly.
Yeah. Reading the room is key.
And, this goes back to what you were saying before about emotion and logic.
Absolutely.
Emotion is
Emotion is key
key.
to effective communication.
And why is that?
Because facts and figures might inform,
Right.
but it's emotion that persuades.
Okay.
Think about any powerful speech or presentation you've ever seen.
Yeah.
It likely tapped into your emotions in some way.
It did.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether it was inspiration or motivation or even a sense of urgency.
Yeah, okay. So it makes it more memorable.
Yeah. Emotions make things stick.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot here.
We have.
We've talked about reframing those nerves, crafting that compelling message,
Yeah.
using the 3-act structure,
Right. Yeah.
and mastering those delivery techniques.
Absolutely.
Public speaking is a multifaceted skill,
It is.
but it's something that we can all get better at
Yeah, for sure.
with practice.
With practice and by applying these insights.
Yeah. Anyone can become a more confident and influential speaker.
And it's not about being born a gifted orator.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
about honing our skills
Absolutely.
and really understanding our audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and delivering our message with passion and authenticity.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And, these principles of influence, they go way beyond,
Oh, yeah.
just giving a presentation or,
Absolutely.
even just a conversation.
It applies to everything.
It applies to everything.
Yeah. Any interaction where you're trying to persuade or inspire,
Right.
whether it's a casual conversation,
Right.
a team meeting,
Yeah.
or even a written communication,
Yeah.
all these principles apply.
So we're going to dive deeper into that in the next part
We are.
of our deep dive.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. We've got lots more to share with you guys.
We do.
So stick around.
It really is fascinating how these communication techniques can be used every day.
Now, before we get into that, I want to go back to emotional intelligence. You were talking about how important tapping into emotion is for persuasion.
Right.
But how can we get better at that emotional intelligence?
Well, I think it starts with being self-aware, understanding our own emotions,
Okay.
how they impact our communication.
So like knowing if you're somebody that gets really excited really easily.
Exactly. Or if you tend to clam up under pressure.
Yeah.
Once we're aware of these tendencies,
Yeah.
we can start to manage them.
So it's almost like
I don't know.
we're the conductor of
Yeah.
our own emotional orchestra.
Exactly. And then after that, we need to develop empathy.
Okay.
So that's the ability to really understand and share other people's feelings.
So putting ourselves in their shoes,
Yeah.
how do we do that?
Well, active listening is a big one.
Okay.
So instead of just waiting for our turn to talk,
Right.
we need to really focus on what the other person is saying,
Yeah.
and not just the words they're saying,
Right.
but their body language, their tone of voice,
Yeah.
their facial expressions,
So we're like an emotional detective.
in a way.
All right. So we've gathered all those clues.
Right.
Now what?
Well, that's where adaptability comes in,
Ah.
being able to read the room and adjust our communication style.
Oh, hey.
So if you sense your audience is getting bored,
Yeah.
you might throw in a little humor
Okay.
or ask an interesting question to get them back on track.
Right. So we're not just sticking to a script.
Exactly. It's about being responsive to the people in front of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like a jazz musician.
I like that.
Right. Just
Yeah.
kind of feeling it out.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that preparation can help with nerves.
Yeah, definitely.
What are some other strategies?
Well, one technique is to focus on your breathing.
Oh, yeah.
Taking those slow, deep breaths
Hmm.
can help to calm your nervous system
Okay.
and center your focus.
So if you find yourself getting flustered in the middle of a presentation,
Yeah, one strategy is to just acknowledge it.
Oh.
You might say something like, "Excuse me, I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited to share this information with you."
it's about being human.
Exactly. No one's perfect.
Okay. So let's talk about how these principles apply beyond formal presentations.
Okay.
You said earlier that they can really enhance everyday conversations.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Can you give us some examples?
Sure. Think about a time when you had to persuade a friend to do something or convince your boss to approve a new project.
Yeah.
The same principles apply. You need to grab their attention,
Okay.
present your case, and address any concerns.
So even in casual conversation,
Yeah,
we can use the 3-act structure.
absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, you might start with a question or an anecdote
Okay.
to pique their interest.
Okay.
For example, you could say, "Have you ever tried Ethiopian food? It's amazing. There's this great new restaurant I've been wanting to check out. I think you'd love it."
All right. So we're crafting mini presentations.
In a way, yeah.
Okay.
But it doesn't have to feel formal, right?
Just be yourself.
Now, what about body language and voice control in these more informal settings?
Well, they still apply.
Okay.
Even those subtle shifts in posture and tone can make a difference.
Right.
For example, leaning in when someone's talking shows you're interested.
Mm-hmm.
And varying your vocal tone can make the conversation more dynamic.
Right, like you don't want to be monotone.
No,
Okay.
it's boring.
All right, so what about storytelling?
Well, stories are a fantastic way to connect with people emotionally.
Okay.
Instead of just stating facts,
Yeah.
try weaving a narrative
Okay.
that illustrates your point.
So if we're trying to convince our friend to try that new Ethiopian restaurant,
Right.
we might share a story about a delicious meal we had there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or describe the atmosphere.
And what about mirroring energy?
Well, paying attention to the other person's energy level and matching it can help create a sense of rapport.
So if they're super excited,
You can be excited too.
and if they're a little bit more subdued, you might want to tone it down.
And how do we manage our own emotions in those tough conversations?
Well, one technique is active listening.
Okay.
When you focus on understanding the other person's perspective,
Hmm.
it can help to de-escalate the situation
Okay.
and keep you from getting defensive.
So putting our ego aside,
Yeah.
all right, if we do find ourselves getting upset, how can we recover?
Take a moment to pause before responding.
Okay.
You might excuse yourself to collect your thoughts.
Okay.
Or just take a few deep breaths
Yeah.
to calm yourself down.
So what about those times when we have to deliver difficult feedback?
Right. Well, the key is to be constructive.
Okay.
Focus on solutions, not blame.
Okay.
Instead of saying, you did this wrong,
Yeah.
you might say, I noticed this happened and I'm wondering if there's a way we can approach it differently in the future.
So focusing on the behavior,
Exactly.
not the person.
Right.
Okay. And what about body language and tone of voice?
Well, maintaining eye contact and a calm, steady voice
Okay.
conveys confidence and sincerity,
Okay.
but you want to avoid sounding aggressive.
So it's finding that balance between honesty and kindness.
Exactly.
Okay.
And remember, even though the conversation might be tough,
Yeah.
you still want to be respectful and supportive.
And sometimes those tough conversations might involve saying no.
Right.
How do we do that?
Well, be clear and direct about your boundaries
Okay.
without being apologetic or making excuses.
Okay.
You might say something like, I appreciate you asking, but I'm not able to take on that project right now.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we don't have to give a reason.
You don't have to over-explain.
Right.
Yeah.
Just a simple no.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about those situations where we need to negotiate?
Well, one effective technique is to focus on finding common ground.
Okay.
Instead of seeing it as a battle,
Right.
try to identify areas where your interests align.
Okay.
This creates a more collaborative atmosphere and increases the likelihood of reaching a win-win solution.
So we're shifting our mindset from competition to cooperation.
Exactly.
Okay.
Find that sweet spot where everyone feels heard.
And what about when we need to deliver constructive criticism?
Well, the key here is to be specific.
Okay.
Focus on behaviors or outcomes.
Okay.
Instead of saying, you're always late,
Right.
you might say, I noticed that you were late for the last 3 meetings. Is there anything we can do to ensure you're able to arrive on time in the future?
So solution-oriented.
Yes.
Okay.
And when delivering this criticism,
Yeah.
maintain a neutral tone of voice.
Okay.
You don't want to come across as angry or judgmental.
Okay.
And remember to use I statements instead of you statements.
Okay.
So instead of saying, you didn't do a good job,
Right.
you might say, I noticed there were some errors in the report. Let's discuss how we can improve accuracy going forward.
And what about receiving feedback?
Well, try to view it as a gift.
Okay.
Even though it can be tough to hear, it's an opportunity to learn and grow.
Okay.
And the person giving you feedback is probably doing it because they care
Right.
and want to see you succeed.
So what about advocating for ourselves?
Well, be clear about what you want
Okay.
and why you deserve it.
Okay.
Practice articulating your value
Yeah.
and the positive impact you've made.
So owning our worth
Yeah,
and communicating it clearly.
exactly.
Okay. I like that.
Ah.
So now let's shift back to formal presentations.
Okay.
You said delivery is where the magic happens.
It is.
We've talked about body language, voice control.
Right.
But what about just that overall energy and presence?
Well, I think that comes down to authenticity and passion.
So that inner spark.
Exactly.
How do we cultivate that?
Visualization can be really powerful.
Okay.
Imagine yourself giving a killer presentation.
Okay.
Feel the confidence, the connection, the impact.
And the more we visualize it.
The more likely it is to happen.
So what about those moments before a presentation?
Yeah.
Are there any routines that can help us get in the right mindset?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Find a pre-presentation routine that works for you.
Okay.
Maybe it's listening to music.
Yeah.
Maybe it's meditating or
Yeah.
doing some light stretching.
Okay.
Find what helps you feel grounded.
So what about if we're in the middle of a presentation
Yeah.
and we get flustered?
It happens.
that we do?
Just pause and take a deep breath.
Okay.
It'll give you a moment to collect yourself.
Right.
And you can even use that pause to connect with the audience.
Okay.
Make eye contact, smile.
So it's almost like
It shows them that you're human.
we're using those moments to our advantage.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about humor?
Humor can be great,
Okay.
but it's important to use it wisely.
Okay.
Make sure it's appropriate for the occasion.
Right.
And your
It can
audience...
be offensive.
No.
What about those unexpected interruptions?
The key is to stay calm and adaptable.
Okay.
If there's a technical issue, acknowledge it and ask for a moment to resolve it.
Okay.
You might even engage with the audience while you're waiting.
Okay.
Ask them a question.
Right.
Share a quick story.
And then there's the Q&A.
Ah, yes, the dreaded Q&A.
What are your tips for that?
Well, one tip is to anticipate questions beforehand
Okay.
and prepare your answers.
So you're not caught off guard.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's okay to say, I don't know the answer, but I'll get back to you.
Right.
You don't have to have all the answers.
And how do we handle those challenging questions?
Stay calm and respectful,
Okay.
even if the questioner is not.
Yeah.
Listen carefully. Acknowledge their perspective
Right.
and respond clearly and concisely.
So don't get defensive.
No, stay focused on your message.
You talked earlier about storytelling.
Yes,
Can we dig into that a little bit more?
of course.
Like, how do we weave those narratives into our presentations?
Well, choose stories that are relevant and resonate with your audience.
Okay.
Think about the emotions you want to evoke and the takeaways you want them to remember.
Okay.
And make sure the story has a clear point.
So we're being strategic.
Yes, definitely.
And what about the structure of a good story?
Well, there's the classic story arc.
Okay.
The beginning, the rising action, the climax,
Yeah.
the falling action, and the resolution.
Okay.
This structure creates anticipation and keeps people engaged.
And what about personal anecdotes?
Personal anecdotes can be really powerful.
Okay.
They make your message relatable,
Right.
but choose them carefully.
Okay.
Make sure they're appropriate for the audience
Yeah.
and relevant to your message.
So again, it's about being strategic.
Yes. Always be strategic.
All right. So what about visual aids?
Visual aids can be helpful,
Okay.
but use them sparingly.
Okay.
Don't overload your slides with text or visuals.
Right. Keep it simple.
Exactly.
You mentioned practice.
Practice is key.
Practice makes perfect.
It really does.
Yeah.
The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll be.
And we're not just talking about rehearsing the word.
No, we're talking about practicing your delivery,
Right.
your body language, your voice control, your overall presence.
And feedback's important.
Feedback is crucial.
Yeah.
It helps us see our blind spots.
So it's like having a coach.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the art of persuasion.
Okay.
What are some key principles that can make us more persuasive?
Well, understanding your audience is huge.
Okay.
What are their needs, their values, their motivations?
So do your research.
Absolutely.
And what about the structure of a persuasive argument?
One effective structure is to state your claim, provide evidence, and then restate your claim in a more compelling way.
So clear, concise, evidence-based.
Exactly.
Now, you talked about emotions earlier.
Right.
How can we use emotion to make our arguments more impactful?
Well, emotions drive behavior.
Oh, yeah.
Think about the times you've been moved to action.
Yeah.
Emotions played a role.
So it's not just logic.
It's about connecting on a deeper level.
And how do we do that ethically?
Be genuine. Choose stories and examples that align with your values.
Right.
Don't manipulate or play on fears.
So inspire and motivate.
Exactly.
So what about building rapport?
Building rapport is about finding common ground.
Okay.
Showing you understand and respect your audience.
Okay.
You might acknowledge their experiences.
Yeah.
Share a relevant anecdote.
Okay.
And of course, active listening is crucial.
So body language and voice control are important here too.
They are.
How can we use them effectively in these more informal settings?
Maintain eye contact.
Okay.
Use open gestures.
Yeah.
Speak clearly and confidently.
Right.
And try mirroring their body language and tone.
Okay.
It builds rapport.
So being assertive is important as well.
It is.
How do we do that?
Communicate your needs and opinions clearly and confidently,
Okay.
but respect the other person's perspective.
It's a balance.
It is. It's a
Okay.
delicate balance.
And empathy is important.
Empathy is crucial.
Yeah.
Put yourself in their shoes. Understand their point of view.
Okay.
Ask questions. Listen carefully.
What about persistence?
Persistence is important,
Okay.
but know when to let go. If
Wow.
you've made your case and they're not receptive,
Yeah.
it might be time to move on.
Okay.
Sometimes it's best to just agree to disagree.
So being adaptable is important too.
Absolutely.
How can we adapt our approach based on the situation?
Pay attention to their communication style.
Okay.
Some people are more logical,
Right.
others are more emotional.
So be a chameleon.
In a way, yes.
Okay.
Adapt to your surroundings.
And what about patience?
Patience is key.
Okay.
Sometimes the best persuasion happens over time.
Right.
You plant the seed
Yeah.
and let it grow.
Let it blossom.
Exactly. And remember, authenticity is paramount.
Right.
Be yourself, speak from the heart.
So what about credibility?
Building credibility takes time and effort. It's
Okay.
about consistently delivering high-quality work,
Right.
sharing your knowledge, and building a reputation for integrity.
So it's a long game.
It is,
Okay.
but it's worth it.
Right. We talked about storytelling already.
Right.
But how do we choose stories that really resonate?
Think about the emotions you want to evoke,
Okay.
the takeaways you want to share.
Okay.
Choose stories that make those points come alive.
And what about the structure?
The classic story arc is always a good bet.
Beginning, rising, action, climax.
Exactly.
Falling, action, resolution.
It keeps people engaged.
And those personal anecdotes.
They can be powerful,
Yeah.
but use them strategically.
Okay.
Make sure they're appropriate.
What about visual aids?
They can help illustrate your points,
Okay.
but keep them simple and relevant.
Okay.
Don't overwhelm people.
Practice is essential.
Practice makes perfect.
Right.
The more you practice, the better you'll get.
We're practicing everything.
Everything, the content, the delivery, the whole package.
And feedback.
Feedback is essential.
Right.
It helps us improve.
So it's like having a coach.
Exactly. Okay, so let's bring it back to everyday life.
Right.
How can we integrate these insights into our daily interactions?
Well, it's not just about giving presentations.
Right.
It's about building relationships,
Okay.
achieving our goals,
Yeah.
making a positive impact.
So using these skills for good.
Absolutely.
Okay, so how do we make that happen?
Start with awareness.
Okay.
Pay attention to how you communicate.
Yeah.
Your body language, your tone, your words.
And then start experimenting.
Try the 3-act structure.
Yeah.
Practice mirroring body language.
So small adjustments can make a big difference.
You can.
Okay, and practice.
Practice is key.
Practice makes perfect.
The more you practice, the more natural it will become.
So any interaction is an opportunity.
Exactly.
Great.
Feedback is essential.
Get that, coach.
It helps you improve.
So what about self-awareness?
Self-awareness is so important.
Yeah.
It's about understanding your communication style
Right.
and how you impact others. Okay, how do we get better at that?
Ask for feedback.
Okay.
Record yourself.
Wow, it's amazing how much we've learned
I know, right?
just from one podcast episode.
Yeah, Alex Carter really packed a lot in there.
He did. He really did. And, it's incredible how these concepts
Yeah.
apply to so many different areas of our lives.
Absolutely. It's not just about giving presentations.
Right.
It's about becoming a more effective communicator in general,
Exactly.
which benefits us in every aspect of life.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
let's give our listeners some practical tips on how they can actually put all this into practice.
Okay, sounds good.
We've covered a lot. So where should people start?
Well, I think a great starting point is to pick one or two of the techniques that really stood out to you
Okay.
and start using them in your everyday life.
Okay.
If you're intrigued by the 3-act structure, try incorporating it the next time you have to persuade a colleague or pitch an idea.
Yeah, it's like adding a new tool
Exactly.
to our communication toolkit.
And the more you use it, the more comfortable you'll become.
Exactly.
You'll become more skilled.
And don't be afraid to ask for feedback.
Oh, yeah. Feedback is crucial.
Get some honest opinions from people you trust.
Yeah. It can really help you pinpoint areas where you can improve.
Absolutely.
It's like having a coach for your communication.
Yeah. Yeah. So as we close out this deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with this one thought.
Okay.
Think about the impact you want to make on the world.
Yeah.
How can you use your voice, your ideas, these communication skills to create positive change?
Yeah. That's what's so exciting about influence.
Yeah.
It's not about manipulation or control.
Right.
It's about inspiring, connecting, and making a difference.
It's about lifting others up and
exactly.
sharing your unique perspective.
And leaving the world a little bit better.
Then you found it.
I love that.
So remember the power of your words,
Yeah.
your presence.
Your ability to make a difference.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the art of influence.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody.
We hope you learned a lot and are feeling inspired to put these ideas into action.
Absolutely. Go out there and make your voice heard.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing.
And keep influencing.
See you then.